Dear students, welcome to onlineAka strategic tax planning subject. Right. So I am your lecturer Sanka De Alwis, and I am a chartered accountant who is having more than 10 years experience in tax field, and I am a tax consultant. So you may be aware about me, or maybe you are new for my lecturing. So today is the first introduction session for your curriculum 𝐒𝐿 Sri Lanka curriculum 2025-30, right? So this is a new curriculum, but it's a vast curriculum, students. So without saying about myself, I'll directly go to this curriculum, right? Student, this is a very comprehensive curriculum. As I studied this, it is not like previous subject that you had, right? It's a very different curriculum. You will understand it. Maybe you at this level you already know it, right? So let's see. Now it has 4 pillars, right? Financial accounting, management accounting, risk control, business environment, law and taxation pillar, right? Business environment, law and taxation pillar. These are the technical skills that Chartered Institute is expecting from you, subject areas. Now under this pillar, students, you need to learn business fundamental, law and tax, then corporate law and taxation. That's your second level, corporate level, business level, corporate level. Then we are coming to strategic level, right? Now you are at your level. I expect that you have went through all this curriculum. It's must, student, right? Why this is important? You understand what is the expectation that Chartered Institute is having from you, right? For you to be qualified, what skills you should develop, all those included under this curriculum, students. Therefore, at your level, you are the top level of this curriculum, right? At your level, I believe that you already went through the curriculum, but it's my duty to explain you certain parts, right? Not the entire curriculum, which is relevant to your case of strategic tax planning. Earlier, students, we had in all syllabus, we had a subject here, right? That were purely tax. However, now it's strategic tax planning, right? Now it's strategic tax planning, and it's cover vast area, right? Earlier only tax, now they added many areas you will see. So this is good chance for you to improve your knowledge, right? 𝐶S Sri Lanka given you good chance for you to improve your knowledge. Not only that, skills, you can see this in this pyramid, right? You have power skill, integrity skill, and on top of that important part, application expertise, right? You need to be someone who apply it. So you have to learn how to apply tax laws. Just knowing the law is not enough, right? Application is very much required at your level, right? So it's for C-suite level, right? I'll explain all those things, right? So that is the structure. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Now it's clear. Let's see. In your curriculum, you can see that there are learning aims, leads, and weightage, right? There are learning aims, leads, and weightage given for each subject. Now you are in strategic level, strategic tax planning. See what is the aim that institute is having from learning this, right? So you also should have this aim by learning this subject, right? Let's see. This level develops expertise in tax and legal principles. See, not only tax, legal principles also there. So your fundamental principles understanding very important. When we are practicing in tax field, student, we can see at Supreme Court level or at higher level, higher arguable levels, what is more important is not knowing the act, right? But having the legal principle understanding is very important, right? There are many legal principles that govern taxation. So those are the points that we argue, right? At the courts, at the Tax Appeal Commission, we are arguing on those points likewise, right? Legal principles crucial for business continuity and strategic growth, right? Maybe organic growth or inorganic growth, right? So business continuity you should look at. Now I have seen in my career there are certain cases that department suddenly seize your banks. Now business continuity affected from tax cases. You cannot continue your business because department has seized your bank. Without bank accounts you cannot collect your cash and run your business. So how you manage those risks? Business continuity. Oh, how you expand your business? Are you going to acquire another business already developed, or are you going to invest from zero to growth? Likewise, there are many areas. Those areas you need to look at from tax angle as well as other legal principle as viewpoints, right? So that's cover many areas, not only tax. You have to learn other laws as well under this subject, right? That's very important. Earlier it was just few acts. Now it's more scope is there now, right? It covers advanced corporate and personal taxation, indirect tax, international taxation, transfer pricing, fiscal policies also, how your budgetary process, country's economy, right? Everything is there. Emphasize compliance, ethics, digitalization. A student will develop tax planning strategies to optimize efficiency and address emerging regulatory challenge. This is very important, student. Optimize efficiency. Sometimes you might know good tax points, right? You might have good viewpoint that you don't need to pay tax at this level, right? But department might have arguments, right? Maybe you are applying an exemption. You know the law, right? However, applying exemption is not the case at C-suite level, right? C-suite level, you need to look at that overall risk. Maybe you are applying exemption, then department argue it. But based on your consultant and lawyers, you have a good case to win. But what happens end of the day? Your interest will be accumulated and end of the day you will be winning the case. But there won't be any cash flow advantage for you, right? Maybe you are paying lawyers. Likewise, you have to look at every aspect at your C-suite level. So that expectation is included under this wording, optimizing efficiency. It is not applying all the exemption likewise, right? It's not always doing tax planning. Yes, you understand what are the tax benefit, then you decide, are you going to implement it, right? So it's a very vast area, student, right? So under this syllabus, there are learning leads, tax law for business continuity at C-suite level, right? So for you to continue business, there should be a proper compliance. To have proper compliance, you should know the law and apply it very correctly, right? Very correctly. And you need to take a risk. Maybe there are certain, I have seen there are certain companies, they are taking risks, right? And some companies are risk averse. So you have to decide at which level you are, at which level you keep your company, right? Being a CFO, you have to decide whether you are going to take this tax risk or you are risk averse. So what are the benefits of taking a risk? What are the benefits of not taking a risk? So I remember that there was a case, 2 billion loss student, right? I'm not sharing all the personal info, but there was 2 billion tax losses, but you had to decide whether you are arguing. There was a good case to claim it, right? So you had to decide whether you are claiming it and incur legal cost, or not, right? So whether you take this interpretative risky position to claim it, or you keep silent by agreeing with Department of Inland Revenue. So those you need to decide. So business continuity. Otherwise, if you don't comply correctly, department will come and seize your banks and your continuity will be affected. Your reputation will be damaged, right? So that has 40% weightage. Then tax and law for organic growth decisions, right? Organic growth decision, you develop your business yourself, right? In that case, what are the beneficials? Investment incentives. There are incentives. If you do this, run this business from 0 to 100 or 0 to growth, right? So what are the tax laws? What are the tax benefits that you can apply, right? You can see it's not simple income tax act, Inland Revenue Act. It's not simple value added tax, right? So now it's very different. Vast area you had to look at, right? So C-suite level. What is C-suite level, students? Chief Financial Officer. Likewise, Chief Financial Officer. You are at Head of Finance, maybe Chief level. CEO. Likewise, right? Chief Operating Officer. At that level, just having the law understanding is not enough. Your decision application skill need to be developed, right? How you apply it. Being tax consultant, people know that, yes, someone know the law can advise, there are interpretation like this, but decision is very critical, right? Whether to apply or not is very critical. You have to look at vast aspects. Your financial position, accounting standard, not only tax, right? Not only your cash flow, your future cost, future outflow, everything you have to look at. Your reputation, every aspect you have to look at when you are applying tax planning decisions, student. So now it's very important. I am very like this subject, not like previous subjects. This is very good subject for chartered accountants, right? When you are qualifying, you are coming with exact requirement in the market, right? This is the requirement in the market, right? At this C-suite level. So that's we have seen that there are C-suite chartered accountants. They are just giving tax consultants authority to do anything. It's not like that. When you being a C-suite level chartered accountant, you should take the risk and decide what you are going to do with tax plannings, right? So it's very important. Now growth, it's also 50%, right? Organic growth versus inorganic growth, right? Your mergers and acquisitions decisions, right? How tax gonna affect it. Then tax policy and economic implication. Now you know that in media, when coming budget everywhere, right? Everywhere tax is discussed. Whenever there is economic implication, people are discussing about tax, right? So tax is the most single subject that affects economy, right? So tax has wider impact on your economy. If it has an impact on your economy, that means it has impact on your business also. So it's very important for you to understand economic implication and implication for your business from that implication. Tax policy, government policy. What are the government policy? Process of setting budgets. How are you going to collect it? So those are discussed in the industry. If you are referring news channels everywhere, these things are discussed. So that's part also you have to learn. So it's kind of a blend of tax laws, legal principles and economic principles. Everything is there, right? Everything is there. So it's not purely tax. Very good subject now, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Your expectation is not just to understand law, how you apply it at different level of decisions, right? So that you need to keep in mind when you are learning this course, right? Next one, right? Now you have understanding what are the expectations from you. Next, how they assess your knowledge level or skill level. How they assess it. Core module assessment methodology by level. So I am going only for strategic level. You are already aware about this, right? So strategic level, there will be a paper with section 1 50 marks, section B another 50 marks, right? Section 1 you have one compulsory mini case, right? Mini case question of 50 marks, right? Mini case. So mini case means you need to apply. Previous syllabus there was a unseen case. They are giving pre-seen maybe 1 month before the exam, and you have to study it and forecast what will be there in the exam. Then unseen will be given at the exam, right? So then you have to apply your knowledge onto that case. Here also they are giving a mini case question of 50 marks, right? So at the exam they are giving a case, you need to apply it, right? So it's a case, not only the law, right? It's not asking whether this income is taxable. They have given case, now you have to decide, right? In that decision, student, there will not be any correct answer. There might not be any correct answer. Your argument is valid, right? In this tax field, student, you might know that there are many cases at Tax Appeal Commission arguing, right? Court of Appeal, Supreme Court level, right? If someone is correct, those cases would not be there, right? You cannot say only myself is correct. You cannot say only yourself is correct, right? There are viewpoints, arguments on that viewpoints, right? So your exam also you have to elaborate on your viewpoint, application. You have to elaborate on that. That's the skill they are looking for from this new curriculum, right? Next one, 2 scenario. That's also scenario based. See, everything scenario based. Case study is scenario based. Now it's not traditional way, right? It's not traditionally asking, giving a VAT question and ask you to provide VAT payable amount, give you a income tax question, ask balance income tax. It's not like that. Now they are giving just cases, and you need to analyze, you need to establish your viewpoint, you need to give your rationale likewise, right? So 2 scenario based question with 25 marks each. Complex scenario based application and analysis. Students have the option to attempt 2 questions out of 3 questions given. They are giving, now it's complicated more, right? They are giving 3 questions and you have option to determine for which 2 questions you are going to answer. Now that's also that consuming your time at the examination, right? So now you have to decide. See, examiner in every aspect trying to see your decision making ability also, right? Your arguments, your rationale, application and decision making, right? At the point of examining, you have to decide, right? So it's a paper based examination, 3 hours, right? 3 hours, and for pass, to be passed, you need to score at least 50 marks. Right. Next one. Right. What are the open books? Let's see. Assessment and open book materials, right? This is the open book materials. So what you can take to the exam, right? What you can take for strategic tax planning, they are given you right to take Inland Revenue Act and subsequent amendment and value added tax. Only those, right? But there are many areas that they are going to test. SSCL may be tested, Social Security Contribution Levy, or maybe Data Protection Act. Likewise, there are many areas they are going to test, but they have given only this act to taken into the examination, right? So you have to keep in mind. So when we learn, student, in my courses, I usually don't give notes, don't give separate notes for you, right? You have to take notes when I am explaining, right? When I am lecturing, you have to take notes. Why I have taken this syllabus structure also from your ready-made syllabus structure in your Chartered Institute website without creating slides, because you need to understand raw data, right? Source, original source. You need to be able to refer original source. Why? I am saying now they are going to test you thinking that you are at C-suite level, CFO level, right? Or CEO level. They don't take your textbooks, class book material. They don't take at your CFO level. What you need focus is source data, original source. You are taking original source. At companies, if you are working at tax field or whatever the field, you can't take your class note into your company now and look at your class notes now. If there is any issue in accounting standard, you have to refer accounting standard book. If there is any issue in your auditing standard, you have to refer auditing standard book. If you have any issue in your governance or any other company related laws, you have to look at your Company Act, right? Company Act and other source document that is published. Likewise, you have to refer throughout this course, you have to refer original source document, student. So you need to be familiar with Inland Revenue Act, Value Added Tax Act and other act also. You need, that's a art, that's a skill, that's a art and skill, right? If you know how to read this properly and if you can remember this, at the exam you are getting win. You are winning, right? You are winning at the exam. Why? You know how to do this, while someone who are learning based on some class book material, they need that book to refer at the exam also. So they don't have any understanding where in the act it is referred, right? Let's say in the third schedule to Inland Revenue Act, let's say in a section, Inland Revenue Act, it says this income is exempted. Now you forgot at the exam hall. So if you have that, you can refer that section and see what are the actual criteria. So for you to have that understanding, you need to be able to refer that properly without relying on some class book material. Therefore, throughout this course, I am using this act, right? And only difference is I am using consolidated text that is published by Department of Inland Revenue. Mostly I am using that, but in there the amendment also referred, so you can refer the amended act. For the easiness, I am using consolidated text, right? But you can take the amendments also, original act, and there was 5 amendments to the date, right? Yeah, you check from the IRD website, there was certain amendments, right? And value added tax. Value added tax, there was many amendments, so you need to mostly remember every area. Even if you are taking all the acts into examining, you don't have any time to refer it, right? There are many amendments. If you are referring it, surely you are referring some old thing, right? Not the current one. So learning the act itself also important, while you need to remember every area, right? Here also better, if you are coming beginning, starting from the beginning, better you remember everything, right? It's easy. I'll teach you how to do it. You have to trust me. So students, since this is the case, you need to listen to me very carefully, right? Each and every, I am saying this to every student, my students, if you are not listening to my words, word by word, each word is very important. If you are not listening, you are in a trouble, right? But if you are listening very carefully, then you will be winning this exam, right? So you have to take a prize, right? You have to take a prize. How you? I'll guide you from the beginning to end, right? I'll guide you. For me to guide, you have to listen to me and trust me, right? Trust me. Keep trust on me, because I also have aim that people who are learning from me should be the one who are in the top level in the industry, not the exam. I'm not looking at the exam, I'm looking at the industry. If you are coming to tax industry, you should be at the top level. Maybe you are becoming a CFO, but you should be above your tax consultant, right? So if someone learning from me, they should know the law very correctly. So that's my personal aim. So I'm pretty sure if you are listening to me and trust me, you will be becoming one of top tax professional, right, in the country, right, in the country, right? It's not just you are passed the exam or got the qualification, you will be the top tax professional in the country if you learn from me, because I am teaching it in deep way, right? So you will learn it and be with me. You have to listen to every word and write it, right? Everything you need to write, right? If this video is, you can pause it and write it, right? Every word. So you have to create your own notes, right? Even notes are not there, they are in the act, right? They are in the act. What I am teaching is act. Only the connection you can refer. If I say that in this section the word person is defined in another section, you can give mark and write it in your act. So purchase this act from the beginning of your classes, right? Purchase it from the beginning of your class. Not to take photocopies, you have to purchase it from government printers. You check it how to do, or from the institute itself, Chartered Institute, you check with them, right? So purchase it from the beginning, right? Do it from the beginning. Next one, right? So next we will go to in detail syllabus module, right? So I haven't said what is the number. SL254 is strategic tax planning, right? This is the correct module code for your subject, right? So module, we already discussed some area, but we will read. This module provides a comprehensive understanding of tax and related legal principles, right? Not only tax, related legal principles. There are many legal principles, and I feel that it's better in your previous syllabuses, previous levels actually, from the beginning levels, maybe business level or maybe your double ATs. Likewise, there are tax principle discussion, tax principles, right? Tax principles, principles of equality, equity, principles of neutrality. Likewise, these understanding is very important. I have seen at the TAC level, at the Court of Appeal level, we are arguing using these principles. It is not just and fair to impose this tax on this person. Likewise, it is again principles of natural justice. Likewise, there are many principles that governs taxation. So basic tax principle you need to understand, that's a must, right? So you refer your previous levels study materials and understand basic tax principles, right? So it's not there in your syllabus, but application of it's there, right? There is no any separate chapter called tax principles, right? But you need to understand everything, right? So related legal principles such as natural justice, likewise, right? There are many. Essential for ensuring business continuity, and business continuity is there, right? We discussed. Business continuity is there. Then what is important? Organic and inorganic growth decisions at the C-suite level. See, C-suite level. always you keep in mind that you are at C-suite level, right? You are a CFO. When you are looking at your question case, you need to understand you are a CFO. If you are a CFO, how would you decide that case? Let's say that's there in practice student. Let's say some account executive, they see whether this entry is correct or not, right? But at CFO level, he is always looking at whether this decision affect business continuity, whether we can grow this business by taking this decision, whether there will be some reputational risk, what are the risks behind this decision. Likewise, at C-suite level, they are thinking differently, student, right? Not that minor errors, minor entries, right? It's not the case, right? At your level, you have to think as a whole, right? At the organization as a whole, right? Not only that minor errors, minor computation and minor allowable or disallowable expenses. You have to see the bigger picture, implication, right? That need to be understood at this level. It emphasizes advanced corporate and personal income tax computation. It's advanced, right? Not like your previous level computation. There could be advanced scenarios. There are many, right? Computation, indirect taxation, right? Indirect taxation, you know that, VAT. International taxation, you know that there are many international tax discussion going on. Global minimum taxes, OECD commentaries, UN commentaries. Likewise, there are many international taxation cases. Advanced pricing agreements, everything is there, right? Transfer pricing taxation, transfer pricing, right? So you know what is transfer pricing if you learned under your previous syllabuses. And the implication of global and fiscal policies. Fiscal policies, that's implication also you need to learn. So this is not pure tax, right? This is not just tax, right? This has wider scopes. The student will gain the expertise to analyze complex tax issues. Complex. Everywhere it says complex. Everywhere it says complex, right? Recommend strategies for compliance and efficiency and address legal and ethical consideration in taxation, right? So you have to look at many as compliance, not only compliance, you have to see the efficiency and ethical consideration also, right? Whether you are going to apply. Now there are many tax planning students we have seen in the industry where there are many tax planning opportunities. Maybe you are taking your revenue, your business out from country to another country and establish there. Then you have good tax savings, right? There are decisions. But when we are discussing with good chartered accountant student, they're reluctant to, right? Why? They see that it as a way of making Sri Lanka poor, because they are taking their Sri Lankan business into another country, right? Even though there are tax benefit, some chartered accountants reluctant to do. Why? Ethically they don't like to do it, but why? It's affect to Sri Lanka. There are questions, right? Whether you should look at your company's ethics side or Sri Lankan sides. If you are looking at Sri Lankan side, it may be personally biased. So these decision, the rationale you need to apply, decision making, right? Ethical considering, how you decide it as an ethical persons, right? You learn the ethical principle. You are under this new syllabus, those strategic management is not there, but there are different ethical principles that guide ethical decisions. If you are learned at your universities, you might know, right? So you need to apply those. The module prepares students to develop tax planning strategies for key business decision by integrating emerging trends such as digitalizing. This is also very important. Nowadays, department, everyone, government also trying to digitalize everything in all around the world. Now tax technology. Now it's a different subject, right? There was a people who know the tax law. Now there are people who know the tax law as well as they are technically expert. They are software engineers sometimes, right? They know the tax law, sometimes they are software engineers. Why? Now world implementing E-invoicing, for maybe it's a 4-corner model, 5-corner model, likewise there are many things. So we support those. Being a tax consultant, we provide our advice on these tax things. Now world is not pure the act-based world. If you go around the world, UK, maybe UA, whatever the country, now tax is something digital, right? Tax technology is there. So there are roles, different roles in the market. It's not tax advice or tax consultant. Now tax technologist role is different role. So he is the person who integrate your systems with tax technologies, tax knowledge, right? So tax technology is there. So digitalization is very important in the global scale. Anti-money laundering, right? So that's also a different measure, right? That's also you need to look at when you are looking at tax cases. Someone trying to evade taxes and they are trying to money laundering. So you need to understand what are the laws that behind this. And compliance and optimized tax. This is very important. Everywhere now your examiner is not talking about complying with tax laws, right? They are talking about optimizing tax efficiency, as I explained earlier. It's not applying correct exemption, right? It's to see whether what are the expenses that you need to incur in future due to this decision. Maybe you have to pay your lawyers. Maybe for one lawyer per hearing, they might be paying 500,000, 250,000 likewise, right? So per how many hearing would be there for you to win this case? Likewise, you have to look at every aspect, optimize tax efficiency, right? If the department say you have to pay 30% tax, let's take a scenario where your income is, now there is a tax consultant is saying your income is exempted from tax. But Department of Inland Revenue says it should be taxed at 30%. Now what you gonna do? You pay 30% tax and be silent, or you apply exemption and take the arguments with the department. If you take the argument, you have to appeal to Supreme Court. Let's say you have to appeal to Supreme Court. So in that case, how you decide? I have seen some chartered accountants deciding risk averse approach. They are deciding to pay taxes and be silent. 30% is at their acceptable level, 30% tax, let's say. But if they go on arguing with this, they might incur more than the tax amount. So that's need to be looked at how to optimize it. Not only that, that's another example, but there are many examples at your level. We will see. Learning and assessment methodology. This module develops students' ability to assess, evaluate and recommend tax strategies in complex business environment, right? So the evaluation and recommendation of tax strategies is your outcome that institute is expecting from you. Learning integrates case law analysis, tax incentive, fiscal policy implication and emerging trends such as digitalization and AI, artificial intelligence, fostering strategic thinking and regulatory compliances. Assessment includes scenario-based question and mini case to evaluate analytical skills, right? Statutory application and practical problem solving abilities. So they are not looking at correct answers, right? They are not looking at correct answers. What they are looking at your abilities, your skills, right? How you argue, those things. In this tax field, there is no something correct. Someone say WHT should be deducted when you are making cash payment. That might be, if you know the law, right? If you don't know these things, just forget it, right? But for you to understand this syllabus, I am giving this. Someone might say WHT need to be deducted when you make in the cash payment, right? So that's accepted. And someone would say WHT need to be deducted even you are not paying cash. When you accrue it, you need to deduct it, right? So there are arguments. There is no person's right or wrong. What's important is what is your logical reason behind your opinion, right? That's the important. So for you to develop good logical reason, you need to learn it well, right? Not only knowing the tax law, you need to learn the art of developing arguments. That's why I said someone who learning from me should be the one who run this tax field, right? Should be the one who run this tax field, because I'm teaching you how to argue, how to build up your arguments, right? So that is a separate skills. At your C-suite level, that's where you need to argue with your tax consultant, being a CFO, right? If tax consultant give you a computation and say you have to pay this tax, you need to argue. So in recent cases, there was a case, students, that some CFOs are saying to me, they are paying taxes. There are advisors saying they need to pay tax on their interest income, right? So that's obvious, no? Interest income, they need to pay taxes. But see, what the concern CFO had is, they have fixed deposit that is not yet matured. That is not yet matured. So CFO had a concern. So he thought about it, right? It's not just accepting the computation that your tax consultant giving. Maybe you are having a tax consultant in your company. It's not that simply accepting their computation. You have to argue why you have taken it like that. So CFO, in this case, CFO had a concern. We haven't earned the interest income in cash. Our FD not yet matured, but our tax consultant asking us to pay tax on that interest income. So my God, student, when that query came to me, I was surprised that many consultants applying it, right? Many consultants paying taxes on your interest income in your financial statement. But there are different arguments that you can build up. CFO is very correct to highlight that point, right? So if the CFO not there, everyone in company, that tax executive, tax manager, tax team, everyone complying with that tax consultant computation and pay it. But there are arguments that you should not pay it unless you receive cash. You will learn when you are learning this course under me, right? You will learn all those interesting point of arguments, right? So that's thinking you should have at CFO level. It's not accepting what is there in the law. It's not accepting what others saying about the law, right? It's the skill that you develop. You should develop your own interpretation of the law, right? So that's the skill. That's why I always say someone who learning from me will run this field, right? So this area we already discussed, right? These are the weightage of your syllabus. Compliance, business continuity, I might say it's like a compliance, right? Compliance. So mergers and acquisitions decision, organic decision, investment incentives. If you are invested, what are the incentives? Maybe some with Income Inland Revenue Act, or maybe other acts, maybe with VAT Act. Likewise, what are the tax benefit if you are developing, if you are investing in new projects, or if you are merge with someone or acquire another company, how you reduce your tax burden. Not only tax, what are the other concerns, ethical concerns, everything. And tax policy and economic implications, right? So how your budget process, how government sets the economic policies. So government economic policies is affected by tax policies. How should be the tax policy? Whether you should increase VAT registration threshold or not. Likewise, there are many discussions, right? This is already discussed. Let's see other areas. So this is the in detail syllabus areas. We'll go quickly one by one, right? tax and law for business. First one, tax and law for business continuity at 𝐒𝐶 level. Under this first one, what was the content? That was 40%, right? 40%. So you need to learn corporate income tax for business, right? Prepare comprehensive income tax computation for corporate entities, including residents and non-residents. There could be foreign branch office. You will be CFO in this branch office, right? Then how you manage it? What are the provision that specifically apply to you? Head office expense. You might have head office expense, whether it's allowable or disallowable. Likewise. So some jargon I am saying at this level, if you don't, I am expecting that you learn something from your previous levels of this CA journey, right? If you haven't learned it, don't worry. I am teaching from zero to full, right? Don't worry, right? Some jargon, if you don't understand, don't worry about it. I am teaching you from zero to full, right? Zero to not at your exam level, more than that I am teaching you, right? I am giving you the understanding at examination level, what the understanding you should have, right? But beyond that, what the understanding you should have also I will be teaching you, right? So student, this tax field is very interesting field. People are earning from the knowledge, right? Not like accounting or other fields. Accounting, they are earning from looking at your controls, how you report your system, likewise, right? But this tax field, people are earning purely from the knowledge, purely from the knowledge. So this knowledge is very hidden in students. It's very hidden knowledge. We can see sometimes even if you are learning, it's only a surface level of understanding, right? I have seen in my last pre-scene discussion also, when I am teaching some areas, the student directly said they haven't learned these areas previously, right? If you can watch it in YouTube, so if it is available, you can see that the student directly says they haven't learned it, right? So there are areas, this knowledge is very hidden. Why? If this has been available to all, there people's chance of earning money would not be available, right? So why tax field? Tax field, people are having secret knowledge, right? They don't like to share everything. They are giving different opinions. Some firm is saying this is taxable, and another person, tax consultant, saying it's not taxable. You can have this much of tax planning, and they are charging well. Likewise, now I am teaching you all these things beyond your examination level. So it's your duty to learn it and earn from it, right? You can earn, right? So learn it very correctly. Next one. Assess the accuracy of income tax computation for corporate entities based on financial and non-financial data. So you have to assess the accuracy of tax computation. Now you are at CFO level, no? You don't do computation. You have to see whether it's correct or wrong. As I said in example I given, that CFO had concern. Now tax consultant is asking to pay tax on interest income. But CFO had a concern. They haven't earned the income yet in cash. Why then they should pay tax? So these correctness you need to assess. Assess the income tax liability, special business under, including banking and financial institution, insurance, offshore company. So it's not only general company, right? There are special companies, or you may be a CFO in a finance company. Likewise, so all these things you need to learn. And student, not only that, you need to learn. You need to learn whether LK is your deferred taxation, deferred tax, cash flow implication, everything you need to look at. Reconciliation, tax reconciliation, right? At CFO level, CFO what look at? Not only the tax computation, he look at your accounting standard, how you presented in your financial statements, what are the tax reconciliation they prepared, everything you need to look at. Then calculate VAT and SSCL for complex businesses, right? So VAT is another tax, right? That based on principle of neutrality. You need to learn what is neutrality, everything, right? Assess VAT, SVAT, SSL. Now SVAT is no more there, so it will be explained to you. Payable by registered person in business which carries out multiple activities, right? So you might have different activities. Maybe you are providing service, right? Or manufacturing and exporting. Likewise, you have different services. Then how you compute these taxes, right? There are differences. All these need to be addressed. Managing VAT and SSL in business. Advice on VAT and SSL in specialized industries, products, including building and unbuilding of products, construction industry and land development, everything covered. Discuss statutory provision of VAT and SSL with regard to assessment. Tax administration also there, not only computation. How you raise assessment, time bar provision for assessment, within which time bar department need to be issued the assessment, or within which time you need to appeal on behalf of assessment, appeal not on behalf, appeal against these assessments, right? Appeals and appeal settlement procedures, how you settle it, right? At CFO, if there is an assessment, you have to decide whether to appeal it or settle it. If it is to settle, how you going to settle it? Everything you need to discuss, understand. Analyze VAT and SSL issues in a complex business transaction and advise on appropriate action to be taken, right? VAT on financial services, right? So if you are a bank or financial institution, how you compute VAT on your banking operations. Explaining the meaning of financial service and the computation of value addition. Assess the FS VAT, financial service VAT, payable by a person carrying on business of financial services. So that computation they are testing. Then advanced appellate procedures, outline procedures for tax appeal commissions and court of appeal, right? So there are procedures, it's not just knowing the law, right? In tax appeal commission student, we are going to TAC and there should be a proper way of dressing also. I have seen in my career when we are at tax appeal commission, there was some ladies who are not coming with proper clothes, right? Proper wearing. Then judges, there are judges, they expect people to wear proper clothes, that professional clothes. If it is not there, they will ask you to leave. There was one experience in my career when I am at TAC that judge were blaming to one lady, saying her clothes are not appropriate for the place. So all those things you need to learn, right? So all those things you need to learn. How we argue at the tax TAC, Tax Appeal Commission. We are going to Tax Appeal Commission and arguing on it. So it's a good chance for you to learn from our experience, right? So we have experience in TAC case handling. So it's a good chance for you to learn that experience and take that experience into you. So this is very good curriculum. Assess instances required and application for writ jurisdictions, right? So there are cases when Department of Inland Revenue do not do things just in just an equitable manner. There are cases that you can go with writ petition, right? Writ jurisdictions, right? Case laws. Assess the facts and principle of key tax cases. A list of relevant cases will be provided by Sri Lanka periodically. So it's not now all the syllabus, there was old tax cases, but now they are saying they will time to time provide the cases. So it might not be the same cases every time, right? So it's very good, students. Interestingly, that in current period there are many newly developed tax principles and tax cases. So that current status you need to learn, not that 50-year back tax cases, right? Current one you need to learn. So that now Chartered Institute identified those gaps and given you chance to learn new cases. Application of statutory provision and case law, compile solution for issues raised by the tax authority based on taxpayer right established under statutes and relevant cases. So you need to understand what are taxpayer rights. That's why I said principles of taxation discussion is very important for your level, right? Even though it was at your previous levels of discussion, this principle discussion is very important for you, right? Advise practical tax issues including assessment, interpretation, recovery and penal action and litigation. So practical issues are there, right? There are many arguments in certain area, whether when you are disposing and your director's vehicle used by your company's director, whether you need to pay tax on that disposal gain or not, right? There are many interpretations. Different tax consultants have different views. So all those interpretations you need to learn. And penal action, litigation, the process. Next one. Demonstrate knowledge and application of statutory provision and case law in practical taxes, including clarification of taxability of profit and income, deductibility of expense and taxpayers' rights and obligations. For everything. In my career student, I am advising to my juniors always, when you are looking at a case, every time you have to look at whether your rights are protected if you apply this law in this way, right? So whenever you read the law, you need to keep that in mind, whether your rights are protected as a taxpayer. So that's need to be understood, right? That's how you develop your thinking, how you develop arguments against certain interpretations, right? That thinking you need to develop, right? So you need to keep in mind this taxpayer rights and obligations. I very like for this syllabus structure that's cover every area that's there in the practice, right? That's there in the tax practice. Every area is covered. So it's a very comprehensive syllabus. It's not only learning the tax law, right? Previously it was just learning the tax law, having that book in your hand. Now it's not. It's very important now you to understand all these rights, everything properly and applying your skills, develop your skills and applying it. So let's see other areas. So students, next one, personal income tax for individual with multiple income sources, right? Let's say there is an individual, let's say maybe yourself or myself, let's say we are having lecturing income. Let's say some person is having a lecturing income, tax consultancy income or other business income, employment income, interest income, dividend income, rent income, sale of asset, right? Foreign income. Likewise, there will be a sale of vehicle. There may be different income for one individual student. So in that complex scenario, how you do tax computation? Assess the financial affairs of individual with higher exposure to income tax and other interactive taxes, including VAT, right? So individuals who are earning more than VAT threshold, they are paying VAT also. I have seen some lawyers who are paying it. So if you are doing consultancy, maybe tax consultation, so you are paying taxes on that at individual level, right? If you are individually provided. Sector specific taxes to address current tax issues, including compliance with new legislation, implication of changes in tax rate and brackets, and international taxation requirement. Maybe you are resident, maybe you are citizen. Very recently department issued a notice saying how to compute tax for citizen, non-resident citizen person, right? So those you need to look at. Recommend alternative course of action to optimize tax position. Right. So whether non-discrimination under DTA, double tax avoidance agreements, is applicable for you. Likewise, you need to understand every area. If you don't know these things, don't worry, we will learn, right? Recommend alternative course of action to optimize tax position. Prepare supplementary statements and alternative computation, including computation of income using the net wealth method and receipt and payments method to value the tax liability of a person, right? So if you are high net worth individual, normally it's prudent to prepare. Normally we have seen you are preparing receipt and payments account, right? You might have learned it under your business level syllabus. Maybe if you done it under earlier syllabus, you might have learned it as a receipt and payments account. So in your practice, so you need to apply that knowledge. We will learn it. Tax and law for organics. Next one, organic growth decision. Tax incentive available for new investment and business, right? So there are tax holidays, major tax, not only tax invention, capital allowances, right? Enhanced capital allowances, exemption and other incentives granted under Inland Revenue Act, Board of Investment Law, Colombo Port City Economic Commission Law, right? So not only Inland Revenue Act, now everything is covered. So it's a vast area, student, right? So it's a vast area. Next one, propose alternative tax incentive for given situation and their limitations. Tax planning and exemption, rates and losses. Tax planning and exemption, rates and losses. Compile effective and legitimate plans and measure for business in order to optimize tax expenditure under given scenarios, considering opportunistic statutory provision, fiscal incentives and limitation, right? So you need to have a tax planning should differentiate from tax evasion, right? Tax evasion is not tax planning, right? So you need to legally, in your legal sphere, you need to plan your tax, legal tax planning, right? So there was in pre-sin discussion, I have given a question in last session, last pre-sin and last curriculum, I have given a question that replacing your asset, right? Replacing your asset. Maybe let's assume due to this flood, your asset, your building was collapsed. Therefore, you are receiving some insurance receipt. Your building collapse value, tax written down values was 20 million. Insurance you received is 50 million. So there is a gain, 50 minus 20. So is there any tax planning to avoid this tax? Yes, there are. Under law it's provided. You can defer the tax payment, right? Without taking it as a gain, because it's involuntary. You didn't expect that profit to happen, right? You didn't accept it. Without thinking, without planning for it, you obtained some gain. So you don't need to pay tax on that. So there are planning there in your act itself, right? So that you need to learn. Incentive there in your act itself. In pre-sin discussion also I have taken that you are investing in new business, then there is an incentive for you. So government give you to deduct all your expenses fully, double deduction, right? So that planning you need to take, that you need to take advantage on you, that planning. Government allow you to pay tax on your interest income when the cash received. So without paying taxes now, you need to defer it, taking advantage in the law itself, right? So those things you need to learn very correctly. Those planning you need to apply, but not the tax evasion, right? You know that there is a liability to pay, but you hide it, right? You reduce your revenue to hide it. something that should come into your income, you are hiding it, you are taking out from your books, right? Off balance sheet items that you should not do, right? That you should not do. What you should do is tax planning, proper tax plan. You take your business as it is, without hiding, without making any adjustment, and see what is the tax implication, how you plan it. Everything you need to see in tax planning aspect, right? Tax planning. Here tax planning, here tax planning. This is direct tax and indirect tax. VAT also there are tax plannings. Section 22(7) registration, just in time method, bonded warehouse, everything you need to look at. Provide tax advice and communication. Compile reports and other formal internal and external communication with regard to tax planning, measured and advising. Right? So digitalization of taxation, assess the global digitalization trends in taxation, including e-invoicing, real-time reporting system like the golden tax system in China, X-roads in Estonia, and taxation with cryptocurrencies. Now there are many reports on this cryptocurrency taxation. E-invoicing, currently UAE is implementing it, many European countries. Many countries implemented it, and in Sri Lanka also there are discussions. Sri Lanka already given proper invoicing format, right? So all those you need to understand. So what is e-invoice? It is not sending your PDF to someone, PDF invoice to someone. It's another system that is integrated into your ERP. How it's operate, everything you need to learn, because now it's very practical subject. Not only theory. Assess AI and big data application in tax compliances, right? So tax compliance, what is the AI role? Including AI powered chatbots in Singapore and automated system like the single touch payroll in Australia and tax digital. Now we are providing advice to UAE students, right? Now we are providing advice all around the world. So there are now, it's not like in Sri Lanka, now the tax is coming with the AI and everything, right? So every AI and everything almost taken the taxation, right? So you need to assess their impact as well. Understand what are those technologies that you can use for your business. Assess the impact of blockchain on enhancing tax transparency and assess its integration into automated tax filing systems, right? Now with this e-invoicing, government would have all your invoice details, your revenue expenses. So your tax return can be automatically generated by the government. Now currently Department of Inland Revenue also generating some tax returns. They pre-populate your tax return in their AMIS system, right? So that's how in many international world countries, many countries, they auto-populate your tax return. You don't have to do anything, right? Evaluate how Revenue Administration and Management, RAMIS, has transformed taxation in Sri Lanka. This need to be evaluated. Evaluate the effect of emerging global technologies, including data, blockchain and AI, in enhancing tax compliance and transparency. World trade management. Evaluate international trade, including pricing terms, letter of credit, bill of trading. It's not taxes only, student. Every aspect of business is discussed here, not only tax. See, I didn't know, this is very important for why it's included under this syllabus, student. We as a tax consultant know, we need to know about these things also when we providing tax advices, right? Our clients are asking, what are the implications when we are importing these goods? What are the tax implications? What are the custom duty implications? So that we need to have understanding on custom coding systems, commodity classification and valuation by custom. So we need to have understanding how this good should have been valued at the custom. How should these goods have been classified under custom system? What is the correct way? We should learn all these things. And the South Asian Preferential Trade, and we will learn all these agreements, everything. Evaluate the scope and application of excise duties, focusing on goods subject to excise taxation, including alcohol, tobacco and petroleum production, their impact on business operation. Right, now you need to understand excise duties as well. See, earlier it's only income tax, VAT, SSCA, and there are some tax case laws. Now you have custom laws, that agreements, international agreements, now excise duty also there. Now the area is very vast. Even some tax courses, this area is not covered. Now Chartered Institute covers almost every area, that's more than regular tax course itself, right? Next one. Tax law for inorganic growth decision. Tax planning for mergers, acquisition and divestments. Compile tax efficient strategies for corporate restructuring by evaluating options such as mergers, demergers, spin-off, reorganizing, focusing on minimizing tax liability, leveraging applicable tax relief provision, and ensuring adherence to relevant tax laws and regulation. When there is a change in ownership, there are specific provisions in Inland Revenue that are applicable. What are the provisions that apply for new acquisition, mergers, is there share disposal? All those aspects you need to look at. Evaluate the implication of tax policies on mergers, acquisition and divestment by examining factors including capital gain tax, asset transfer taxation, cross-border tax, should the influence of tax invoices, right? See, capital, if you are dispose your shares, right? The emerging company, if you dispose your shares, what is the implication? Is there any capital gain tax or it's exempted? Transfer pricing, is there any related party acquisition or likewise, right? Merger. Cross-border tax issues, is there the acquisition happen between companies in different countries? Then what are the tax implications? Is there DTA application? What is there in OECD tax principles? Commentaries, OECD commentaries to the model tax conventions and Vienna Convention, but I don't think that the syllabus will go into Vienna Conventions level, only that OECD commentaries might be relevant. Evaluate how policy changes related to tax law affect structure, feasibility and financial outcome of mergers, acquisition and divestments. Evaluate the emerging global role of ESG, social governance consideration in tax structuring with inorganic growth decisions of business. So ESG application for tax, environment, social and governance consideration in tax structuring with inorganic growth decision of business. It's a tax structuring, right? It's not simple. Now, whether tax structuring is accepted under Inland Revenue or not. Tax structuring means you create different companies, different structures to get tax benefit. Likewise, right? Transfer pricing, evaluate concept of transfer pricing and the application of the arm's length principle, including its significance in ensuring fair taxation and preventing profit shifting within multinational organizations. So transfer pricing, you know, when related associate person, related party give you some goods, they can change the price of that goods or service and manipulate your profit. Higher profit paying country will transfer goods to you. Lower profit paying countries transfer goods to you and charge different price rather than market price. Then profit can be shifted. We will learn how it's happened, right? Every principle we will learn. So OECD transfer pricing guideline is there. OECD TP guidelines, right? Now they are trying to issue new one. And earlier syllabus, those were not just simply touched, but now your syllabus, everything is there. Here, evaluate the transfer pricing comparability and calculation of method, including comparable uncontrolled price. Now this calculated method also there, right? Earlier there was some introduction only. Now you need to aware how to compute it also, right? Discuss the statutory provision, regulation and documentation requirement for transfer pricing. Now there is a separate gazette saying there are transfer pricing document, local file, country by country reporting, right? CBCR, local file, master file, local file, country by country reporting. All those documentation requirement you need to understand. Examine the role of safe harbor rule, advanced pricing. Now there is earlier it was not there, right? Advanced pricing agreement was the guidance to advanced pricing agreements was published by department. So those need to be learned. Audit and dispute resolution mechanism in managing transfer pricing compliance and disputes. Evaluate the criteria for determining resident status of companies and individual for tax purpose and justify their implication on tax. Taxation of non-residents, whether you become resident or non-resident, right? Very recently department issued a guideline saying how you treat tax resident or non-resident and how you treat tax liability of them. So you need to be aware about those updates also. Assess the tax liability of non-resident individuals and company, including remittance taxes, right? So there are remittance taxes. If you are learned earlier, I will say that if there are profit that is accumulated in your company, branch office in Sri Lanka, if you remit it to outside, then there will be a remittance tax. And there are methods to avoid that also, right? Legitimate method, tax planning. Discuss the permanent resident. This is very important. Now with this technological development, work from home culture, there are in international world, there are discussions on home office. If you are working in home, whether it is considered as a permanent establishment in foreign company. Likewise, you have to determine all those things. Evaluate procedure for obtaining tax residency certificates. How you obtain it? Do you have to go to Department of Inland, or is it sending email enough, or you need to log into system and apply it? Analyzing the implication for cross-border withholding tax on international transaction, right? Here, evaluate the challenge of overlapping tax jurisdiction and assess the effectiveness of double tax avoiding in mitigating this issue, right? Source and residence-based taxation, overlapping tax jurisdiction. Same tax source will be taxed at different countries, right? I am earning some maybe investment income in a foreign country, that will be taxed at that foreign country also, and when it is received to Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka also will be taxing it, saying that I am a resident, I need to tax for the world income, right? World income. Likewise, so same income being taxed at different countries, overlapping taxation, duplication, double taxation. So you need to learn double tax avoidance agreements, right? Not only that, compare the OECD and UN model of tax treaties by analyzing their key provisions. Now they are trying to issue a new model convention. OECD, right? That's international tax news. Those updates you need to be aware. New model tax convention they are going to issue. Right? So you need to understand all these things. Identify basic feature of taxation system in main trading partners with Sri Lanka, including India, Singapore, Australia, United Arab Emirates, USA and China. So when you are a CFO, you might be doing business not only Sri Lanka, you might have branch office in other countries also with key trading partners. So you need to understand their tax also. See, now your examiner not only limit to your Sri Lankan taxation, now they include some part you need to understand foreign tax also, their system. So this is a very vast system, student, everything covered. Right? It's like you are doing a tax course from 0 to maybe with 5 levels, right? 5 levels chartered tax course, whatever tax course you are doing. If you complete this syllabus, it's like you are doing a tax course and in a tax practice. Like everything is covered. So it's a very good syllabus, but from my side, yeah, we are happy, but from your side, you need to focus more on that, right? I feel now it will be very difficult for you. There are a lot of area that you need to understand and get. So there's no time to waste for you, right? Everything is there. Earlier, it's only just teaching. For us also, it's very easy. We have just teach the income tax act or value added tax or whatever the tax laws. Now see, everything is there. Even foreign countries taxation, the tax system we have to teach and you have to learn it. Everything is there. Right? So that means you are a complete tax professional. You are a complete tax professional. You know ins and out of every area of tax. Not only local laws, international trade agreements, international laws, everything. Very important instrument. This is very nice syllabus. CA Sri Lanka, I don't know who developed it, but it's very nice that cover everything. So student who pass this subject definitely will be the good tax professional. I'm pretty sure on that. Not only CFO, he will be a good tax professional because he knows everything, right? So it's a good chance for you to learn everything, right? Next one, duties and responsibilities of tax professionals. Evaluate the statutory definition of tax agent, examining its legal scope and significance in the context of taxation, service and compliance obligation, right? So there are tax agents. Tax agents act on behalf of individuals or companies. So who are tax agents? What is the important? Everything you need to learn. Assess the duties and responsibility of tax agent under the law, evaluating their role in ensuring legal compliance, ethical conduct, and effective representation of taxpayer. Outline provisions set out in the Code of Professional Conduct and Ethics with regard to disclosure of information, conflict of interest, confidentiality and implication for tax practice. Outline the penal provision applicable to the accountant, auditors and tax practitioners in respect of interpretation of provision, frauds and incorrect returns. So if you are a tax advisor who provide advice, you are also responsible for your advice, right? You need to sign the return of income. So you are taking some responsibilities, right? It's not easy, right? Therefore, you need to understand all those provisions. What are the legal provisions, legal remedies if you do something not correct as per law? Not only tax, not only that other countries, not only international taxation. Now they are coming for anti-corruption and anti-money laundering measures. See, every aspect of the business is covered. Evaluate the role of CIA, BOC, Commission to investigate allegation of bribery or corruption under Anti-Corruption Act number 2020, assessing its effectiveness in combating corruption. All those things you need to learn. So it's vast area, right? Analyze the offense of bribery and trading in influence. bribery in the private sector, and failure to declare conflict of interest, assessing their implication for anti-corruption efforts. Assess the offence of corruption under section 111, examines legal provision and impact on ethical governance. Right, there are many areas. Evaluate the requirements for declaring asset and liability, considering role in promoting transparency and account. Now you need to declare your asset and liabilities, right, under these laws. So you need to learn all these laws. Not only that, I'll go quickly, right? Personal Data Protection Act, you need to learn. Evaluate the definition and role of personal data processor control, everything. Right, next, fiscal policies and taxation in Sri Lanka. Right, so evaluate fiscal policy and the instrument with respect to taxation, including their effectiveness in achieving economic stability and growth. What is the government policy in earning tax revenue, right? Macroeconomic impact of taxation. Assess the tax impact on labor, goods and services, wealth, including the implication for economic equity. Now, student, if you remember that Sri Lanka was collapsed due to ineffective tax policies. Many are saying Sri Lankan economic collapse due to ineffective tax policies. So this is very important. You understand this, then you will never do that thing, right? Those things. So maybe chartered accountants was there when Sri Lanka collapsed. So if they had proper understanding, this would not be the case for country. So at your level, you are the top tiers in a company. So you need to understand all these things. Macroeconomic impact of taxation, government budgeting process, everything you need to understand on your budget. Now tax mean budget, no? Evaluate budget process. Then extended fund facility under IMF. Now IMF, we are under extended fund facility of IMF after economic collapse. So that also you need to learn. So those are the areas that need wider discussion. So now you can see, students, it's not only tax. Tax is major part, and you need to know ins and out of tax before going to other areas as well, right? So you need to learn tax from 0 to more than 100%, right? I said, let's assume your examination point is 100%, you need to learn more than that. Then you will be coming back to 100%, right? So I'll teach you more than that. I'm not stopping at your examination level. I'm going beyond that. So you need to stick with me, right? So first we will focus on learning taxation, right? We'll focus on learning tax. Right, tax, maybe income tax, VAT, SSCL, port city, or BOI, right? So I'll take this tax subject for you to understand in simple. Now it's earlier one is very difficult for you to understand. I'll summarize it like this. OECD commentaries, transfer pricing guides, now see areas that you need to look at. Transfer pricing guides. The other taxes also would be there, right? Not only these three taxes, other taxes also would be there. And other countries, then digitalization, and other areas, that application areas that we discussed. Not only that, Data Protection Act, custom duties, custom laws, excise laws, bribery and corruption laws. Do you think this is very simple? Do you think this is very simple? What is your thinking behind this? Now it's only simple, little, right? Now we've seen the vast area of the syllabus. Now this is only a little area, only a sample of it, right? Not the total. This income tax, you have 203 sections. VAT also similar, right? More than that. SSC also same. Port City also same. VIO also same. OECD commentaries, you might have maybe around 1000 pages. TP guides, you have 1500 pages. Other countries' tax, it's vast. Digitalization, it's vast. Data protection, same set of sections, right? Custom law, same. Likewise, bribery, same set of sections. So do you think it's easy? Right? No. It's not easy, but if you are properly trusting us, be with us and do exactly what we are asking you to do, you will find it very easy, because I am teaching it very well, right? I am not exaggerating myself, but I am saying that I want to teach you very well, and you should be a good person who understands everything, right? So that you need to understand, focus, right? So this is not easy thing, but you need to sacrifice all of your time. I'll tell you like this. So I asked this from my previous student. There was some student who did exactly as I am asking, and they got some prizes also. So you don't have any time to waste now onwards. From the beginning, let's say you are starting from January month. So from the beginning, you don't have any time to waste, right? You need to more than 200% focus on this and use all your time. Use all your time, Not only for my lectures, you learn from yourself also, right? 200% focus on this. Time means, let's say 24 hours. From these 24 hours, you may be sleeping 6 hours. 6 hours. And for other works, you may be taking 5 hours, right? So 11. Balance 23. Maybe let's say Saturday and Sunday, maybe you are taking 8 hours for your office, right? So at least that's not enough, right? That's not enough. At least I will say after your office work, let's say you are coming to home, let's say around 7 p.m. 7 p.m. to let's say 12 midnight. 12 midnight, you should focus on this subject. 7 to 12 every day. Weekends full day. Now you take your Excel, you jot down what are your available times and prepare a timetable, right? I need you to prepare a timetable. Now this is the plan. 7 p.m. to 12 midnight. 7 p.m. to 12 midnight. You need to focus on doing this. So I will upload all the videos, and we will upload the previous syllabus past paper discussions also. That's very important for you to understand your subject areas, right? Weekdays, this is weekdays, weekend, what you gonna do, right? Weekend, you can at least sacrifice 10 hours. This is 4 hours. 4, this is 10, right? 410. So per week you have 30 hours to study, right? You need to study that. You need to do that, right? You need to do that. So I will give you the plan. From today onwards, from the beginning of January onwards, but you sacrifice this time, right? This is a must. This is a must, right? Don't forget. Don't forget. This is the must. So you take prize, right? Prize winner. Prize winner. I said my student getting this, right? Prize winner. Not only that, you will be the top tax professional in the country, right? So that's the timeline. If you start later, let's say you are not starting from January, then you need to cover these hours as many, right? Now say for this course you need 4 hours, 4 hours plus 30 hours per week, right? 30 hours per week, 30 hours per week. Let's say you are having only 4 weeks and 6 months, right? So you need 4 into 6 month hours, right? Someone is starting from February, right? If someone is starting from February, they need to cover this time gap also, right? So that's the plan. You need to cover this. Then you can take prize. Per week 30 hours. Keep that in mind. Per week 30 hours. If you couldn't cover that hours due to any reason, later on you need to cover that. Maybe by taking a leave from your company also, right? At any cost you need to cover that. Then you will be qualified, and not only that, you will be a top tax professional in the country, right? So that's my plan for you. My plan for you, 30 hours per week. On that 30 hours per week, what you do? First you listen to lectures. Listen to current syllabus available lectures. Listen to lectures, lecture videos for current. Then you go on past papers. You might not be learning, right? Some areas you are not understanding, but still you look at it, right? Past paper discussion, I have done it in a very revision based method. You look at it, past paper discussion, right? Past paper discussion. And read acts. Firstly, Income Tax Act, income tax, then income tax, then SSCL, then VAT. VAT is a bit complicated if you are reading the act, but I'll teach it first, right? So these things you need to done. You need to do these things. You need to do. End of the day, I'll do the other past papers, other model papers for your syllabus. Then that also need to be looked at. So 30 hours per week is a must. More than that is good. If you are taking prize, you need to have more than that. Better to have more than that, right? 30 hours per week. If you are taking a prize, you need to have more than that, at least 40 hours. 40 hours, right? So keep that in mind. If you miss to do this 30 hours, cover this 30 hours within any week, you need to cover it in another week, right? Or you keep into the per day plan. What is the per day plan? If it is a weekdays, 4 hours. 4 hours is must. If it is a weekend, 10 hours is a must, right? 10 hours, right? So stick into this plan, and we will see that you are becoming a prize winner of this subject, right? Not only that, you are taking many knowledge into you. You are absorbing many knowledge into you and becoming a good expert in this field. So let's see, student. All the best. join with us and continue to trusting us and listening to our lectures. Thanks, student.